And we are live. Good morning on your TVs there in Texas and Louisiana. We are on the Smart Money Culture TV network. Our main man, Fly Mackey, over there, the man with the plan, doing lots of wonderful things. And we are excited to be a part of it, expanding around the United States as well in New York and in Los Angeles and Florida and a host of other states. There's a lot going on there. If you want to get on TV, let me know. I'm easy to contact on X at Networks Manager, and easy to find anyway. Impact Money. The markets are starting to recover, and that is nice. Even gold ticked up as I started the show. I know it's raining again in Dubai, so Matt was going to be a little late, but he just messaged me and he said, it's no problem. I was able to plow through the rain. From what I understand, the measures that the kingdom put in place over the last, since the last heavy rains, have helped out a lot. And they are not having a lot of the problems that they had before. So that is absolutely great for all of our friends and who are in Dubai. Pretty interesting stuff. We have, of course, today we are going to be on location. We'll be on location at the Future of Money Governance and Law. If you'd like to come to that event, you can go to the future, just Google it, the Future of Money, Governments, and Law. It's a GBA event, and you can get a ticket for a discount there at, let me see if I have it up here, the Future of Money, Governance, and Law. You can get a ticket for a discount using the Impact Money code. There we go. I put that right on the bottom. That is going to be at the Foreign Service Building, I believe, and then, of course, our friend, as we saw yesterday, our good friend, the Foreign Council on Foreign Relations Building. That's there on F Street, 1777 F Street. So look forward to seeing everybody. I have people reaching out to me. Of course, our friend, President Vitt of Lieberland, is here. He's going to be hosting the high-end reception. And then Brock Pierce, from what I understand as well, is going to be hosting an event too. So Brock and I go back quite a number of years. He actually as well got an award of the Washington Elite years ago at the one of our galas. Speaking of our galas, we do have Consensus. Consensus is right around the corner. We have Consensus Austin. This is going to be a big event. This will be a big event there in Austin, Texas. Consensus 2024. I'm going to share my screen here. Ooh, I lost my thing here. There we go. Consensus 2024. Here we go. This is going to be a major event here in Consensus. Let me share my screen. Consensus is May 29 through 31. Of course, we have we're partners here. Let me, as I pull this up, let me just go to the main page here. Consensus, 10 years of decentralizing the future. So these guys, Consensus, they have been doing this event for a decade. Global Boost is also in our 10th year, so that is pretty interesting. We are a partner of the event. They're bringing everybody in here. You have, of course, Chris Dixon, Kathy Woods, Mike Novogratz, Anthony Popliano, Sergey Nazarov, Cassie Rodemar. This is the Runes guy. Everybody's been talking quite a bit about the Runes. You also have Tom Emer. He is the he's the majority whip of the U.S. House of Representatives. You have Hester Pierce from the SEC, Brian Nelson from the Department of the Treasury. You have Summer Mersinger, the Commodities Future and Trading Commission. I could go on and on the list. Maker Dow, you have Rune Christensen, you have Tim Draper, And there's many more. Brad Garlinghouse, he's the Ripple CEO. The guy's sure been through the ringer, right? I could go on and on here. If you do want to get a ticket, make sure to use the code Bruce. And if you go over here and look at the sponsors, you will see that, of course, they have all the big companies are here. These are all the different companies that are participating. And of course, if you go right down here to the partners, here we are, Global Boost Media, yours truly. We are a proud partner of the event. So if you do want to come, it's in Austin. We will be as well throwing our signature Washington Elite Gala. That's going to be in Austin on May 30th. That is a Thursday, May 30th. Get ready to light up your evening with the most electrifying gala of the year. The Porter Brothers are back at Consensus, bringing you another unforgettable Washington Elite Gala. This May 30th, from 5 p.m. to midnight. Join us in the heart of Austin, Texas for the evening packed with excitement, networking, and fun. Dive into the world of sound money, investment, NFTs, and ordinals with some of the most iconic figures on the scene. Whether you're looking to mingle with the stars, make your mark in the investment world, or just have a great time, this is the place to be. Plus, you'll be partying for a cause. Proceeds go towards supporting the Washington Elite Disabled Sporting Initiatives. Don't miss out on this dazzling blend of fun, philanthropy, and innovation. See you there. You can register there at Luma /Washington Elite Gala, and that's lu.ma/Washington Elite Gala. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We'll be doing that there as well. Make sure you use the referral code. You get 15% discount on the ticket. The tickets are they're not cheap. It's a big event, and there's going to be a lot of people there. So to be totally clear, those registrations are flying. We are not even on the main site yet. Of course, we will be, and people are signing up right and left here. Good morning. Nice to see you. I wanted to talk a little bit here about the markets, and then of course our good friend Matt will be joining us shortly. The Dow futures are up considerably at 135. That does point to a nice day, a nice recovery day. I also wanted to show you the Hong Kong Stock Exchange was really moving here earlier. The Hong Kong Stock Exchange up 2.5 points, 18,207. So again, looks like stocks are going to have a pretty nice day today as well. Look at this now. Oil is up now about 0.5%, but it dipped below $80 again. So this points to a very strong dollar, or a strengthening dollar, as of course we saw the Fed chair come out last night. He's not going to lower, which we said he's not going to lower interest rates for the time being. As well, crypto is bouncing. We have let's see here. We have crypto, of course, Global Boost, our currency there. Bitcoin is up. I won't click all the way in. Up about 1.5%. This is the 24-hour mark right here. 24 hours. Ethereum up 275. Big winner today, Solana. Solana up over 10% off the low. Pretty nice move. XRP as well. The dog, my favorite doggy coin there, up over 4%. Pretty nice day. Now, of course, they did take down. If I toggle, well, you can see the 7-day here, down 10% on the 7-day for Bitcoin, 8%. Where's Solana? Solana down 8% on 12% down on the doggy coin. So all that's all relative a bit, but we'll dig into that a little bit more. I wanted to talk a little bit as well about Okeefe and the Trump rallies, and then the censorship passes the House. Oh wow, I got a lot to cover before we bring on our friend Matt here. So first of all, the censorship has passed the House, and this should alarm everybody. Okay, you have protests that are going on across across the universities, and I've been pretty quiet about it on social media because, frankly, I just don't like the heat. I'm a realist. I'm getting old, I guess. I don't know. I don't appreciate it, but I do have to talk about it on a show because it's very important. It's very important. So what these primarily kids, but there's a lot of people and they're paying people and all, but that's always the way it is. It's always the way it is. Okay. You have people that want to get stuff done and that's the way it works. But you have protests that are going on, and that is freedom of speech. And yeah, all right, they're doing this and they're doing that and everything else. But the way that the authorities are responding, don't you think that that's how they should be responding to the open border? Why are they arresting people that are protesting war and not arresting people that are entering illegally that might be participating in the war? And then to add insult to injury, yesterday the House passes broader anti-Semitism laws. You're not going to even be allowed, if this passes the Senate, and everything seems to be passed the Senate, this could be interpreted, and Massey was on the floor talking about it, Rep. Massey. This could be interpreted as if you say that they are controlling the media, that could be anti-Semitism. We have to be able to talk about the truth. And for you guys, you need to open your eyes and look at what is going on and how things are being, you are reactive. And people that are fighting you are not reactive. They are doing things on purpose, and you are just reacting. Oh, look, the shiny object. Oh, shiny object, and everybody else. Never mind. The border's wide open. Nothing has been done. Nothing has been done about the electronic voting machines. Nothing has been done about the absentee ballots. Shiny object. Oh, throw those protesters in jail. I don't know, guys, if we're going to wake up in time, and I'm not going to go down that road that much more, but that is extremely alarming. We have to be able to talk about things, whether it's true or not true. We got to be able to get to the bottom of it. Trump rally, the Trump rally, two rallies yesterday. Is absolutely, this guy at his age is absolutely amazing. I mean, unbelievable. You can't stop the Trump. And two rallies yesterday, lots of people there. Just, the guy is really just unbelievable on the stump. And of course, he's got different teleprompters and everything else. But for the most part, I mean, not the most part, but this guy off the cuff at his age and everything, unbelievable. Here's a clip of him yesterday.
If Joe Biden wins this election, the middle class loses. But if Trump wins, the middle class wins. The low income will start their journey toward the American dream. Wisconsin will win. And the biggest winner of all is going to be America. America wins. If Joe Biden wins this election, the middle class loses. But if Trump wins.
Now, the part that's pretty crazy is that effort to control the states. Let me see here. Talking about the election, I mean, this is kind of what I was touching on. I mean, if it's hard to see that we have
this is the first time I've announced this, actually.
More people that have been let into the country, and I'll pull that right up in just a second and play that clip. But with 20 million people that have been allowed in the country illegally, and we're still on the electronic voting machines and the mail-in ballots, it's hard to see that we have a real election, or a safe election, I'll say. But that is what he's covering right here. I'll play this clip as well.
But we're not going to allow them to rig the presidential election, the most important day of our lives in 2024. We're not going to allow it. We're going to protect the vote, and I'm pleased to, this is the first time I've announced this, actually, announced that our campaign is going to be leading a historic effort in conjunction with the RNC, that's Republican National Committee, the state parties, and a team of the most highly qualified lawyers and other professionals in the country. to ensure that what happened in 2020 will never happen again. We're not going to allow it to happen again.
He goes on a little bit there, but I wanted to talk a little bit about Okeefe. Okeefe, the great James Okeefe, exposing the CIA. So the agency's kind of like we all got together and we're not going to tell Trump, on and on and on. I mean, this guy is unbelievable. I'll probably play this in its entirety on the afternoon show, but just run through this.
So how long have you been working at the CIA?
Since 2008. I
Okay.
also worked at NSA too. And then I had a TSSCI with a full scope polygraph. That means that I'm fully vetted.
Amjad Fasisi shows her his CIA identification badge.
So where does it say?
Doesn't.
Hey, that's the point.
That's the point.
What's CMC?
China Mission Center, darling. That's my mission center.
Gotcha.
Amjad talks about how the CIA kept information from Trump.
Like working.
We kept information from him.
Say one more time.
We kept information from him.
From Trump?
Yes. He's an idiot. And there are certain people that would give him a high level overview but never give us any details. You know why? It's called leak those details.
We could do a whole show. We could do a whole show on it. Maybe we will. But the intelligence agencies are all started in over the last 100 years or so in this country, and they have certainly gone amiss. Then basically no oversight. You have, and that is kind of what is really controlling our not controlling our administrative state, but that is a big part of the administrative state. So let's talk a bit more about the markets. We'll bring on the great Matt Dixon here. Sir Matt, how are you?
Yeah. Hi, good morning. We've got the rain back in Dubai, I'm afraid.
That's what I heard, man. It seems to be draining a little better, though. Is that right?
Yeah. Thunder and lightning, rain, wind, everything all night long. But yeah, it's draining better. But I just drove back from the office and had to go through floods. And it's still.
You said you just plowed through.
Just plowed through, yeah. So,
well, good. I'm glad you made it back. I thought, well, maybe I'll play more of the Okeefe interview than I had originally planned.
Yeah, cool. Yesterday was a big day, the Fed.
Yeah.
So they kept rates on hold as we fully expected. The market, the Dow actually rallied 500, then quickly gave back nearly all of it.
Yep.
So let me just check. I'm just going on to share screen to have a look at a few things. But yeah, it was quite a wild ride, to be fair.
Right.
Things rallied quickly. First of all, when we got the no change, which was fully expected. Then they came out saying they're going to stay higher for longer. They haven't yet beaten inflation. Inflation is still sticky, but they're relatively happy with growth. So all in all, it was a nothing burger, as they say. There was basically nothing unexpected came out of it at all, as far as I can see. And so the market, it sold off running into it. It rallied. You can see here on I assume you can see my screen, can you?
I need to add it to the stage. Here we go.
Yeah. You got it, yeah?
Yep.
Cool. So you can see here the big spike up in the market. This is the S&P 500. Big spike there and just gave it all back. But actually, as you say today, futures are looking positive. So maybe we'll get some positivity out of today. So there was nothing particularly unexpected, no particular surprises, no particular scares. The Fed seemed to be on top of things. And so maybe we'll get some kind of rebound, but let's have a look across crypto and see where things are. So as I say, this is the S&P 500, which we still broke, some time ago, we broke below this long held parallel channel, and there's still nothing impulsive as yet to the upside. So there's still a lot of uncertainty around markets, and we may have seen a top in the S&P, or we may yet break higher, but at the moment there's no real clarity. And the fact we broke below the long held parallel channel is actually not particularly positive. So we'll look at DXY. Actually, DXY, so dollar index, actually sold off. So that's telling us that clearly they are probably going to be staying rates are not going to be dropping anytime soon, but actually they're kind of seeing some weakness beginning to show in the economy. So dollar is perhaps selling off a little bit. So we got a bit of a sell-off, and that's actually what caused the immediate rally on the market. So when we see downside on the dollar, usually the markets rally. And we had the big sell-off into the Fed rate decision, but we've had a bit of a rebound since then. So as you said, Hong Kong was one of the big beneficiaries. But quite interesting to look at, and there's been some discussion recently about the yen, the level of the yen. So looking relatively long term, we're still seeing yen at basically the yen has been particularally weak. And this is what's called the carry trade, that effectively still yen interest rates are way below everywhere else. And so what people do is borrow in the yen, they invest in other currencies, other assets. So if they're borrowing yen, investing in other assets, that weakens the yen. So that's why we're seeing this massive depreciation of the yen. Even since, about a year ago, we've seen yen move from 127 to 155. So we're seeing what, a 20-odd% decrease in the value of the yen. So that's a massive depreciation really in a year, to see a 20% depreciation of the yen. But that is just a sign that money is being borrowed from the Japanese yen and basically investing into elsewhere. And we got a bit of a sell-off there, but it's still looking actually reasonably positive. So as long as the yen begins to weaken, and when I say sell-off in the dollar we got, and basically this is yen strengthening, bit of yen strengthening, but overall we're seeing massive yen weakness. The higher this chart goes, it means the weaker the yen is. So that is actually typical of carry trade. That means risk on. That means that basically people are prepared to take risk in the market, and they actually see risk assets appreciating. And so at the moment, the stock markets are still looking really healthy. And I think the environment is still looking pretty good for Bitcoin. So this is telling us that the risk trade is still on, that people are prepared to take risk. They're still prepared to borrow money in yen, invest in elsewhere. And one of those places they invest will be Bitcoin. We saw yesterday that we're seeing a bit of negativity with the Bitcoin ETFs, but I think that's probably short-lived because this looks very, very corrective. So very corrective in nature. This is still a sideways choppy movement overlapping in Bitcoin. So I think that we are going to see a push to new all-time highs. And the fundamentals, bear in mind, the fundamentals are great for Bitcoin. We're still seeing, overall, we're seeing really positive money flow. Yes, we see ups and downs on a daily basis, but positive money flow into the Bitcoin ETF. We know that the supply and demand characteristics, particularly the supply characteristics, are really favorable. You know, we've just had a halving event, which means there's less and less supply going into the market. Stock to flow is better than gold now. So I know Bitcoin is still seen very much as a risk asset, and it's still seen as being more volatile than other things. So if other things like the S&P 500, the stock markets are going up, we would still expect to see Bitcoin continue to go up because it's still being evaluated very much as a risk asset. But it will gradually, over time, take on more and more of that safe haven status. It's not there yet, but that will come in the future, I believe. But for now, it's just having a nice little healthy correction, as we mentioned yesterday. It's not fallen dramatically. Yes, it fell below the parallel channel, but that's perfectly okay. There's a support zone.
When 6% is a big move, I mean, you and I remember, man, 20% days on Bitcoin. I mean, you know, it's just like, this is not the...
Yeah, exactly. It's becoming more mature. It is maturing as an asset. And, you know, the fact that we're getting more institutional money in, it means basically the more depth within the Bitcoin market, the harder it is to move the price. You know, if you've got real depth and massive money flow coming in from institutions now, what you used to get from whales, these whales are now no longer whales because actually the market is becoming so much deeper. There's so much more liquidity there. It's really difficult to move the Bitcoin market. So as you say, 6% is now seen as a major move in Bitcoin, but it wasn't major. You know, you used to see much bigger moves than that. And so we're seeing some stability and some, you know, a solid foundation being built within particularly in Bitcoin, but even the other assets are actually a lot less volatile than they used to be. So that's Bitcoin looking corrective, and hopefully we'll see new all-time highs above that 73 in the not too distant future. So the fact we got that interest rate decision out of the way pretty well unscathed, and they're going to be data dependent and watching and still vigilant, trying to tackle inflation, trying to get it down towards that 2% target. And as long as we don't get any geopolitical issues, I think that's going to happen. And what's going to make it happen? Well, let's just look at, as you mentioned, oil. Look at how oil has fallen reasonably dramatically. I mean, we were 87, we're now 79. That's what, 12% in just a matter of days.
Yep.
Fallen. That's a big fall. This means there's going to be less pressure on inflation. If we're seeing oil prices now falling dramatically, there's going to be a lot less pressure on inflation, because oil prices are one of the big drivers of overall prices, because of transportation takes oil, manufacturing takes energy. We've got every day, even seasonally. I know we've got driving season coming, we've said, but seasonally we're entering into better weather, summer periods, less fuel being used for heating, etc. So demand for oil is going down. The price of oil is going down. This means that prices of everything should be cheaper to produce, because one of the big costs for business is the cost of energy. So if we're seeing oil prices falling dramatically, then that means cost for business should go down. That means inflationary pressures will go down. This makes it much easier for Fed to get towards that 2% target that they've been after. And so they will be able to, I believe, ease monetary policy later this year. And it's an election year, they probably want to do that anyway. So if they can ease monetary policy, that's going to be good for risk assets. It's going to be good for Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, XRP, Solana, you name it, across the crypto asset world, and even the major stock markets. It's going to probably be positive if we can see a fall off in inflation. So the markets are forward looking, and we're seeing that with the oil prices coming down. This is generally positive signs. And we can see that the gold has taken, is maybe continuing this correction to the downside. I still think we're going to see more upside yet to come. This still looks very corrective, but maybe we'll see even more downside. Maybe this C wave could extend a bit further. We're above all the three main moving averages, the 50-day, the 100-day, the 200-day moving averages. We're still well above those. They will act as supports. As you can see, they acted as support back here, back in November of last year. They acted as support. When price touched those moving averages, it was supported. Again, when price touched the 100-day moving average, it was supported and bounced higher. And again, I would expect, first of all, the 50-day, then the 100 to act as solid supports for the gold price. And we should see a rebound from there, and probably to new all-time highs again if we see any further issues with inflation. But at the moment, we could see a bit lower in this correction, because support, certainly from the 50-day and the 100-day, are still somewhat below where price is right now. So maybe time for a bit of a healthy correction in gold. We're seeing healthy corrections all around, really, but that's not altogether a bad thing. Markets shouldn't move in just one direction. So Litecoin has been a really interesting one. Again, we've seen prices, we actually pierced the 200-day moving average, but actually spiked them back sharply above it, and things are looking reasonably positive. So we labeled this stop loss zone, this zone of support from previous support levels. We labeled it in advance. We know that prices did pierce that zone and actually took out all of those stop losses. And that's why I said that Litecoin is actually quite well supported now. We've already pierced the stop loss zone. We've taken out the stop losses. I say we, I'm talking about, Litecoin, basically the price has gone below, and the big traders, the big whales, whoever's trading, the big people trading Litecoin, the market makers have taken out all those stop losses. Price is now free to move higher. And we saw once again dipping into the stop loss zone yesterday and spiking sharply higher again. And potentially we've seen just a nice three-way move down, probably an ABC move down rather than a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's probably ABC. So we're likely to see Litecoin hopefully now start to move nicely towards the upside and take us substantially higher. So I think the backdrop now, we've got this healthy selling thing probably out of the system, and hopefully reasonably soon we'll start to see some upside. And even XRP, which has shown considerable volatility to the downside, reached support here. This is a stop loss zone here. And again, we breached that stop loss zone briefly before. We re-entered it last night, but again, we're starting to see some positivity to the upside, and hopefully that will continue to filter through. Others, obviously looking at the meme coins, Doge had a bit of a comeback day yesterday because it did dip to the 12 cents yesterday. We're at 12.8 right now. So it had a bit of a rebound, along with most of the memes has rebounded. But they're still pretty flat. It depends what where you count your day from. I think Bruce's accounting from America is showing a much stronger rebound with the memes. But in general, things are rebounding quite well. And one of the better tokens here we can see that performed really well throughout this volatility was BNB. Looking really good there. So very corrective, sideways movement. There's nothing impulsive to the downside. We can see impulsive direction clearly, strongly to the upside. Nothing whatsoever impulsive to the downside. So again, just another sign that I think we're going to see some nice movement toward the upside with BNB, and that might lead the march higher. So in general, I think that's pretty much it for the day. We've seen interest rates. This is the inflation rate in the US. Again, just want to put it into context yet again. People are saying that we're not going to see a rate drop this year because inflation's elevated. Well, it's not that elevated. The Fed have actually, with the high interest rates that they had, they've actually managed to bring inflation down from these elevated levels around 9% to currently around the 3% sort of area. So it's come down dramatically. Yes, we're seeing a bit of a hiccup, but we're still lower than inflation was last August. If you look back to here, August, September, the inflation rate is lower. So I think it's just a little bit of a hiccup. Things never move quite in a straight line. And I think we're going to see inflation continue to the downside. And I think that actually growth is going to be the next big issue for the Fed to deal with. So I personally believe we will be seeing lower interest rates later this year. And interestingly, the Fed actually, the feedback from the Fed meeting last night was that we're actually probably still going to be seeing 3 rate reductions this year. And I don't know where people get it from that they think inflation is such a big problem. Yes, in areas it's a big problem, and it has been.
I will say, I know looking at the numbers, you can deduce that, but I can tell you, being on the ground here, it's a big problem. People, I mean, it's like I don't know. I mean, my wife and I were talking about it. I mean, the expenses of an average household went up 15 to 20% this year, and for an average person, making, I don't know what an average person makes, but let's just say they make $100,000 a year. That's move.
Yeah, I think some people, like insurance companies, have really been taking advantage in hiking prices way above what they should do. Utility companies, we've seen the same. I don't know why they're hiking prices at the levels. And there's actually something to be said. So, for example, Japan hasn't had the same issues with inflation, and the reason is that they actually control a lot of prices. They don't allow these massive price hikes, and when general supply side isn't seeing such massive price hikes, we're seeing oil subdued now. Why should they be allowed to hike prices this level? There's something to be said for some sort of controls, particularly things like utilities.
Yeah, I don't know what the answer is, but even private schools, I mean, we're talking like major increases just across the board. Everything, 15 to 20%, really, 10 to 20%.
Again, they have seen big hikes in wages in some areas across the US, and some areas they haven't. So it's not been a level playing field. And so some areas where they have seen hikes, it's hurting other people who haven't seen hikes because they're actually increasing prices, and other people haven't seen wage hikes. So this is going to be the big problem, I think, that when this employment thing turns around in the US, at the moment there's pretty well full employment. But when that turns around and we start to see these high wages begin to turn around and jobs not being quite so available, that's going to be the big turnaround for the economy. That's when you're going to start to see deflation coming. So yes, I have to admit, just from experience, as you said, not just the figures they put out, which are not necessarily true. From personal experience of paying bills, you can see, with inflation has been higher than they've said. But I think inflation is going to be a thing of the past, and we're going to see deflation. We're going to see problems with growth coming in later this year, and they will be. That's why they've said they're going to be lowering rates 3 times this year. They're not saying it for nothing. I know they did say 5 times, and now it's only 3 times, and they keep delaying it. But they see things that we don't see. They do know that growth is going to be falling off, and we're seeing the first signs now with oil prices falling. That is one of the big drivers of prices. So I think we're going to see issues there, and this is why I've drawn this dotted line. It's nothing from anybody else, where I see inflation actually beginning to decline. Obviously, we've seen we've seen 9% inflation in the US. Obviously, that's been painful, and there's been other areas within prices, as you say, up to 20% is your personal experience with actual day-to-day living. But it has come down dramatically, and I think it will continue to go down dramatically. We're just seeing a bit of a hiccup at the moment, but it will continue to come down, and it's going to hurt because at the moment, we're seeing wage hikes, but that won't be possible in the future when we start to see inflation falling. Yes, it's a bit sticky right now, but when we see it falling, it's going to become a problem, deflation, and they will be lowering rates. And they're going to lower rates because they want everybody to be feeling good when it comes to election time. So
yeah,
we will be.
I agree. And if they do 3 rate cuts before the election, they're going to be bragging about the economy.
Absolutely. So they're going to manufacture something to brag about. So here's one of those tokens just to finish up. I'll show it clearly here. We can actually see Solana, which I've got a wave 3 blue here, wave 5 red, wave 3 blue, which is a bigger time scale. And then I think we're still going to be working for some time on this correction to the downside. I don't think it's over yet. I think we are going to see a bounce in a B wave, but we've had 5 clear waves down. So we've got wave 1, I measured that, transposed to here, the top of wave 2. Wave 3 did go past the 1.618, so it's a perfectly valid wave 3. Then we've got an ABC wave 4. Excuse me, wave 4 didn't transgress into the territory of wave 1 here. So it's perfectly valid. And then we got a wave 5 down, which went below the end of wave 3. So this is a perfectly valid 5-wave move down. It's probably an A wave. We're going to get a B wave up and then a C wave down before we push to new highs. So there's going to be a lot more uncertainty, a lot more consolidation. But I do think that this is just a correction still in the making. And Bitcoin and the rest of them are going to be rallying yet again before we see any major turn to the downside in the market. So yes, There's going to be a lot more choppiness and uncertainty, but overall, slightly longer term, the outlook is looking good for later this year.
Okay. Very good.
That's where we're at for now.
Awesome. And if you want, right around the 46 mark here, we can swing back to Okeefe. I wouldn't mind playing some more of that.
Yeah, please. Yeah, I mean, we can go through other markets, but yeah, it'd be nice to get to hear that, please. Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty crazy. I think that it'll be interesting because the markets do all want to rebound, but we are looking at a stronger dollar. The dollar is going to, I think. I guess we'll see. I mean,
here's the dollar. I mean, we almost reached our target. So my target was basically an ABC here, and we almost reached it. I mean, we're so close, just within touching distance of it. I do think we'll probably see a bit more strength. I think we've probably got a little bit higher to go. But longer term, as I say, I think if we see any weakness in the economy, we're going to then see some downside. But we don't know quite how high it's going to go. This is the first target, which is 106.67. We haven't quite reached it. We're down here at the moment at 105. So the dollar actually sold off quite a bit last night, and that was really expectations. When the inclination is that we're going to get 3 more rates. We're going to get 3 rate reductions this year. So obviously the dollar's going to sell off on that news. if you're going to get rate reductions, you're going to see dollar sell off, and that's precisely what happened. You can see it very clearly with the big red candle yesterday. That was yesterday's movement. It's still very corrective sideways, so I actually think we're still going to see more highs in the US dollar before this is over. And we're already seeing today, so far, this is looking positive. We may see dollar begin to strengthen a bit further. So you're right, dollar strength is going to be, but dollar strength is actually also one way in which the US economy may begin to slow a little bit. If they're seeing a strong dollar, then they're going to be a little bit less competitive internationally. And so that may actually be used also as a brake on the economy. They've got so many different tools they can use to deal with the economy. They've got these things like QE and money printing and QT, money tightening and bond purchases, that kind of thing. They've got interest rates, but they have also got they've got taxation, of course, and they've got spending, but also they've got the foreign exchange rates. So if we see massive dollar strength, that will actually be probably a drag on the economy. It will slow the economy. So there's many, many different tools they can use. And the Japanese are particularly good at using these tools, using their currency to manage and manipulate their economy. So we wouldn't be surprised to see a bit stronger dollar, which in itself will probably slow inflation a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's no doubt about it. I can't believe how there's a couple of houses. One of them just sold here on my street. Unbelievable the prices they're pulling. But if the dollar is strengthening, of course, that slows that stuff down. My area is a little different. It's right here in the capital, so people, this is where they decide what to do with the money. So there's a lot of it around, but yeah.
Property is a big part still. I mean, the thing about the American economy is, and property market in particular, it's very different to UK, for example, where we have very variable rate mortgages. So UK market is very, very sensitive to interest rate changes, because the moment the rate rises, our mortgage rates rise. US is actually financed very differently. A lot of it is fixed rate mortgages. As actually an awful lot of property isn't even mortgaged in the US. A lot of it is actually owned outright. And so that's why the US is a lot less sensitive to interest rates. The US property market is less sensitive. And certainly in 2008, yes, it was a different market back then, because they had what they called ninja mortgages, which was no income, no job, and everyone was refinancing for second homes to get involved in it was money for free almost back then. But then when it went wrong, there's a lot of leverage which had to be knocked out of the system. That's why there's so much pain back then. But right now, the US is probably in a stronger position, although even so, if we were actually to see a rate rise, it will eventually have some knock-on effect to property, even in the US.
Yep. Well, very good. Awesome. Matt, another great show here.
Yeah, thank you. Pleasure to share with you. And again, I could go on all day, but I want to give room for your other guests.
Yeah, let's do it. We're going to try. I have plenty of interviews queued up as well here. We'll probably try to run one every day here moving forward. I just need to coordinate with everybody. But I do want to run through this Okeefe interview a little bit, because I think it's so important for people to see it.
Fantastic. I look forward. Thanks, Bruce. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening. Look forward to tomorrow.
Cheers. All right, I'm going to pull back Okeefe here to our stage. And of course, his team went undercover with the CIA operative, talking about how they're doing stuff. Just to give you a little bit more background on this, guys, I think the CIA was started in 1957 or something like that. I mean, it was recent, in the last 100 years anyway. The FBI was started near the beginning of the 1900s, 1908, 1910, something like that. CIA was started after that. And by all appearances, they have been interfering in elections and around the world, and now ours as well. And many, if you were around back when Kennedy was assassinated, many will tell you that they also are behind the assassination of John F. Kennedy.
Amjad Fasisi states higher-ups within the intel community, including CIA directors Mike Pompeo and Gina Haspel, and the upper levels of their staffs colluded to withhold information from sitting President Trump.
So the agencies kind of like all got together and said, we're not going to tell Trump.
The higher ups.
The higher ups.
We put it this way: the executive staff. We're talking about the director and his subordinates.
Like, what titles are they? The
Director of the CIA.
director of the CIA will keep.
Yes.
Are you guys still watching him?
I would say yes.
It sounds like you guys are still watching him and his team.
Of course we are. Nothing goes by without somebody watching.
Amjad Fasisi also states as fact that Trump is under constant surveillance and even claims they are spying on his ex-wife.
And we also have people that monitor his ex-wife.
So you guys had human sources,
How do you think we get information?
like wiretapping? Is that
Steal it.
how did you guys figure out that Trump was colluding with the Russians? Did you guys use
It's a human intelligence.
so the intel community was able to use FISA to spy on Trump and his team, and that's how we found out that he was colluding with the Russians.
Correct.
Was it the CIA or the NSA that spied on Trump?
So it should be all of them.
So you're saying that your agency, or CIA,
A lot of the agencies, again, he's not going to get reelected again. I've done the math. It's impossible. We have a choice here. Do we want our democracy or do we want some fucking madman who wants to be a dictator?
does it say the CIA on your LinkedIn?
Fuck no. We can't do that. And then I worked at NSA for a year.
Okay.
And I was doing some really cool cyber stuff, which I cannot tell you about. To the Office of Director of National Intelligence. So I helped them stand their insider threat program. They trusted me to set that up.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
I don't have anyone to tell.
Yeah. This conversation didn't happen.
Of course.
I get strictly denied.
Yeah.
I'm James Okeefe, reporting on location outside the CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia. Right behind me, the CIA, the police officers here.
We figured we'd come up and just say hello.
No problem. We're allowed to stand here?
100%.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely everything you guys are doing is
Yeah.
100% okay from where you're at right now.
Okay.
If we proceed forward of the crosswalk,
Yeah.
that's where we may have to come up and have another discussion.
Yeah, we're going to stand right on the sidewalk.
100%. Absolutely.
I appreciate it. All right.
All right.
Very good.
Thanks,
Thank
folks.
you. Just a moment ago, officers coming out from Langley, Virginia to warn me not to set foot across that line right there. It's obviously dangerous for us to be here. It's dangerous for us to do this reporting. But thanks to a brave OMG undercover swiper, we present to you the Okeefe Media Group blockbuster investigation inside the CIA. A few months ago, journalists Matt Taibbi and Michael Schellenberger released a story making several claims, including the CIA illegally mobilizing foreign intelligence agencies to target Trump advisors before the 2016 election. Barack Obama's CIA director, John Brennan, identified 26 Trump associates for the intelligence community to target and bump, make contact with, or manipulate. And what bumping means is literally bumping into people, making contact with them, communicating with them, and spreading misinformation to divert their attention. The U.S. intelligence community also asked its foreign allies, United Kingdom, Australia, Italy, and the Israeli Mossad, to target these 26 members of Trump's team going all the way back to March of 2016, well before the 2016 presidential election. Multiple instances that the U.S. intelligence officials likely broke laws against spying and election interference. Former CIA Director Gina Haspel blocked the release of a binder that included evidence that may have identified her role in the Trump-Russia collusion hoax. This activity was illegal, both because U.S. law prohibits such intelligence gathering unless authorized by a Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, that's FISA warrant, and because the weaponization of the intelligence community for political purposes constitutes election interference. The first of the intelligence community's surveillance targets appeared to be a former Defense Intelligence Agency, that's DIA head, and would-be Trump National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. Another target was staffer George Papadopoulos. In 2018, HPSCI, the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, released a 243-page report clearing Trump of allegations that he and his team colluded with Russia to interfere with the 2016 election. However, sources close to the House Permanent Select Committee led by Adam Schiff covertly continued working out of a small room in Langley, and he had access to raw logs and communications from agencies like the CIA and the National Security Council. You're probably wondering, how did the CIA respond to this? Well, former CIA Director John Brennan under Barack Obama did not respond, nor did the Justice Department. The US FBI and UK's equivalent to the NSA, that's the GCHQ, however, responded that wiretapping the president-elect claims were nonsense, they were utterly ridiculous, and should be ignored. What's most interesting about that is Taibbi and Schellenberger didn't even ask about wiretapping. The FBI and GCHQ just included it in their response. Even more interesting is, how did the mainstream media report it? The mainstream narrative was that the UK government GCHQ, again, that's the United Kingdom's NSA equivalent, was the whistleblower in the investigation into the alleged ties between Trump and the Russian government, and other narratives that have all turned out to be false. As it turns out, not only was Taibbi and Schellenberger's reporting accurate, we can now provide proof on camera, thanks to one of our OMG undercover American swiper citizen investigative journalists. Using the dating app Bumble and hidden cameras, our OMG journalists set up a series of meetings and phone calls with Amjad Fasisi, a CIA contractor with top-level government security clearances. Now, as it turns out, the corruption at the CIA, FBI, and Department of Justice is probably even worse than you thought, and now you can see it with your own eyes. We're reporting that Amjad Fasisi, a senior intelligence officer with a top-secret, sensitive, compartmentalized information clearance, has worked at the CIA for over a decade, and his knowledge and his position and access show he has a high-level awareness about the agency, its current culture, and how it has been corrupted by bureaucratic politics, and how it has over the years and continues to use its powers to weaponize the CIA to spy on President Trump. Let's meet Amjad Fasisi. Amjad Fasisi is a CIA contractor working with Deloitte. He has a high-level, top-secret government security clearance and works within the CIA and its China Mission Center on cyber operations. According to the CIA's website, the China Mission Center was formed to address the global challenge posed by the People's Republic of China that cuts across all of the CIA's mission areas. Through his work over the years with the CIA, NSA, and various defense contractors, Amjad Fasisi is well connected to high-level government officials. What you're about to see in this video is truly incredible. Amjad Fasisi divulges on camera that the directors of the CIA, including Gina Haspel and Mike Pompeo, and other high-ranking members of the intelligence community, purposely colluded to withhold information from Donald Trump, then the sitting president of the United States. I greenlit the hidden camera date as we were initially under the impression that he was working for defense contractor Lockheed Martin. But during the first meeting, our American swiper noticed that Fasisi was in fact CIA, at which point our undercover investigation took on a whole new angle. Our brave American swiper citizen journalist cultivated a rapport with Fasisi, and from there, the rest is history.
I work in the intelligence community.
What do you do?
I work for the CIA.
You work for the CIA? What do you do for them?
I do cyber operations. I've been doing it for a long time.
How long have you worked there?
Oh, God. So I work for Deloitte Consulting.
Okay.
So I'm a contractor to the CIA. Deloitte was based out of the CIA. I've
Okay.
also worked at NSA, too.
And how long have you been at Deloitte?
Deloitte 2+ years. Lockheed Martin for about 11. Just telling it, dude.
I don't have anyone to tell.
Yeah.
Cyber.
So that's what I do. And I work in a mission center.
What?
I work in a mission center at the agency. I am a program manager. I help the mission center across the entire enterprise, everything.
After telling our undercover American swiper citizen journalist his role with the CIA, Amjad Fasisi shows her his CIA identification badge.
All right, so here you go.
Okay, let me see.
Speed this scooter on, please.
Oh, sorry. How long have you worked there?
So that's 2008. So that was the last picture update was in 2013.
This is from 2013, which is more than a decade.
All right, I'm going to wrap this up for now. We're going to probably continue with this reporting. Unbelievable what is going on. I am signing off for today. Matt, we will see you tomorrow morning, and we'll be back on your TVs, guys, in 5 hours.
Your voice is powerful. When combined with social engagement, it's a force for change. Decentralized media paired with free speech is the catalyst for an empowered world and a unified, invaluable ecosystem. Join Global Boost, become a champion of free speech, and help to reshape the future of media.